In a massive, unmanaged public square, hundreds of people navigate a space with zero designated paths. There are no "keep off the grass" signs, no fences, and not a single official in sight. Conventional wisdom suggests that without strict rules, human interaction inevitably devolves into a war of all against all, the belief that without a conductor, there is only noise. Yet, the scene remains unsettlingly serene. People do not collide, they drift. Two groups of children playing tag share a boundary with a yoga class without a single word of negotiation. A cyclist swerves slightly to avoid a toddler, receives a brief nod from the parent, and continues. This is a masterpiece of silent, fluid coordination, functioning so perfectly that it becomes invisible. The drama begins only when a local official arrives with a roll of bright orange plastic fencing. Driven by a genuine, if narrow, sense of duty to protect the turf, he attempts to organize the flow by blocking the center. Instantly, the silent rhythm breaks. People bunch at new bottlenecks. A skater nearly clips a pedestrian as they are forced into the same narrow corridor. Within 10 minutes, the square sees more shouting and conflict than it had all morning. This microcosm suggests that our understanding of the world may be backwards. For centuries, the question has been why humans cooperate, as if peace is a fragile miracle requiring heavy-handed maintenance. If cooperation is actually the statistical default of the universe, the low-energy state that systems naturally fall into when left alone, then top-down order is the very thing creating the chaos we fear. This collision is now playing out on a global scale, shifting the discussion from pure politics into the physics of how civilizations organize. We are witnessing a clash between two different operating systems. On one side are systems that trust natural alignment and self-organizing flow. On the other are systems paralyzed by a need to manage, legislate, and control every interaction until the friction becomes unbearable. This is the rise of the Vitocracy, a system where the process itself becomes the goal and action is an afterthought. It stands in contrast to the order of concrete, where the primary metric is physical reality, whether the atoms moved, the building was completed, and the train arrived on time. We are currently in the midst of a civilizational audit, a real-time stress test of state capacity. This audit ignores political speeches and focuses solely on results, the ability to move people, goods, and energy in a fracturing world. To understand these results, one must look past the headlines and into the mechanics of the 15th five-year plan or the technical specifications of the CR450 train. Consider the experience of an engineer named Zhang in a rapidly developing province in western China. Tasked with a high-speed rail link bypassing a complex mountain ecosystem, Zhang operates within a framework where the central goal is clear, yet local engineering self-organization is prioritized. In a Western context, such a project is often paralyzed by external control, layers of decentralized bureaucracy and legal vetoes from those who have never stepped foot on the mountain. Zhang, however, faces the mountain with the quiet pride of technical mastery. The state provides the capacity, but does not micromanage the gravel. By removing the artificial friction of distant stakeholders, the project moves with biological efficiency. This illustrates the first law of self-organizing systems. Unobstructed cooperative dynamics produce efficient organization. The corollary is that any external control ignoring local information, like the orange plastic fencing, almost always makes things worse. Zhang possesses the local information. He understands the soil density, the water table, and the specific slope of the rock face. The external control consists of committees 1,000 miles away looking at a map. While the Western model is celebrated for being decentralized, it has evolved into a system of suffocating external control, where environmental review boards, zoning committees, and federal agencies all hold the power to stop an excavator. The link between authority and information has been severed, drowning the expert in noise. Zhang's model succeeds because the state sets a linear vector, a requirement to build from point A to point B, and then steps back, empowering the local node to solve the local problem. Conversely, the Vitocracy creates an asymmetry of power. A vast number of actors, both state and private, hold a red button to veto or stop a project, yet no single actor holds a green button to push it to completion. Stopping things is cheap and easy. Building things has become expensive and legally treacherous. The data confirms this failure. The cost of building 1 kilometer of heavy rail in the United States is 2 to 3 times higher than in peer nations like Germany, Japan, or Spain.
This premium is driven by the environmental review trap, where laws like the National Environmental Policy Act have morphed from conservation tools into weapons for obstruction. The focus is no longer on ecological harm, but on whether the paperwork is legally bulletproof. Opposition groups, perhaps motivated by a fear of change or local noise, hire lawyers to scour 3,000-page reports for a single procedural flaw, such as the failure to analyze the shadow a station might cast on a flower bed for 1 hour in April. A judge, bound by procedure, must then halt the project. These delays bleed projects dry, costing millions in wasted energy and capital. The ultimate crystallization of this dynamic is the $1.7 million San Francisco Park toilet. A single restroom required 2 years and approvals from the Rec and Park Department, the Arts Commission, the Civic Design Review Committee, and the Historical Preservation Board. The product became secondary to the process. This reflects a larger economic shift away from industrial capitalism, where money creates a commodity, toward a model of money to money. In a Vitocracy, value is extracted through financial engineering, rent-seeking, and litigation, rather than physical production. Lawyers, consultants, and financial advisors profit from the delay, while the physical infrastructure vanishes from the equation. This leads to talent atrophy, where the most ambitious minds are incentivized to optimize legal arguments and spreadsheets rather than mastering physical reality. In contrast, the 15th five-year plan, covering 2026 to 2030, functions like a relay race where the primary rule is to never drop the baton. While Western political priority acts as a sine wave, starting, stopping, and defunding projects with every election cycle, the five-year plan creates a straight vector. This provides urban planners like Chen with psychological security. Chen knows his 2028 budget is not a matter for political debate, allowing him to focus on the physics of a bridge that will pay off in a decade. This long-term commitment produces results like the CR-450 train, a machine that serves as a civilizational audit in itself. Cruising at 400 kilometers per hour with test speeds of 450, its most significant feat is an energy consumption of only 22 to 23 kilowatts per kilometer. This level of efficiency, which allows a massive train to move a kilometer using the energy found in a small electric car battery, pushes the theoretical limits of physics. It is achieved through relentless optimization, a 22% reduction in drag via advanced aerodynamics, a lightweight magnesium alloy chassis, and permanent magnet synchronous motors that eliminate the energy waste required to create a magnetic field. Features like holographic airborne buttons serve as a flex of engineering sovereignty, a statement that the material world has been mastered. This capacity to move atoms efficiently extends to the global supply chain. Logistics managers today describe the geopolitical attempt to decouple supply chains as an attempt to force water to flow uphill. Cooperation is the default state of human survival. Every sanction or tariff is a high-energy effort to prevent trade from happening. Law 0 of self-organizing systems states that cooperation is the statistically dominant state. Antagonism is a perturbation that requires a continuous injection of external energy to maintain. To enforce a sanctions regime, a nation must monitor every transaction and patrol every border. This effort generates entropy, disorder, and friction.
Systems that are highly connected and cooperative are robust. They dissipate shocks by routing around them. Systems that build walls are inherently fragile. Policymakers often underestimate the ripple effects of intervention, with research suggesting that the true cost of such disruptions are 80 to 150% higher than predicted. Damaging one part of the global organism inevitably damages the whole. While political actors build high-entropy walls, engineers are building the physical internet. This system applies digital protocols to physical atoms using smart, standardized containers with RFID tags. The network itself decides the most efficient route, moving packets through an automated intermodal web. The nerve center of this evolution is Yangshan Port. Handling 47 million containers annually, more than all major U.S. ports combined, it operates with 0 humans on the docks. In this ghost town of pure productivity, automated cranes and trucks unload ships in 18 hours, a task that takes traditional ports 3 to 5 days. This is flow hegemony. Controlling the routers and hubs of the global economy provides more real power than a standing army. The final law of this transition is the law of signal. Functional systems generate low observable signals, while failures generate high signals. Just as a healthy person is unaware of their internal organs functioning, a healthy civilization is quiet. Sickness is loud. It is the squeaky wheel, the protest, the lawsuit, and the parliamentary deadlock. We have been conditioned to mistake this noise for vibrancy, but it is often merely the sound of gears grinding, heat loss, and wasted energy. The order of concrete is a low-signal system, a train that arrives on time, a container that moves in 18 hours, and a digital payment that processes instantly are all invisible. This creates a civilizational divorce. The West exports the meeting, governance workshops, and democratic dogma, while the East exports physical certainty. For a textile vendor like Budi in Indonesia, whose 6-hour daily commute was reduced to 80 minutes by a new high-speed rail line, efficiency is a form of justice. Budi is not a theoretical actor. He is a man who reclaimed 5 hours of his life every day. For billions like him, the right to development is more tangible than the right to endless, unproductive process. When the forensic report of history is written, it will not record the minutes of the meetings. It will record the physical substrate, the sewers, the grids, and the movement of the people. The future belongs to societies that maintain the physical substrate of life against the pull of entropy. On the CR 450, a traveler can stand a coin on its edge on the windowsill while moving at 450 kilometers per hour. Outside, the world is a blur of immense kinetic energy, but inside, the coin remains perfectly still. It does not wobble. That coin is a monument to objective material truth and the mastery of physics over procedural debate. Cooperation is the quiet gravity of the universe. The coin stands still because the artificial friction has been painstakingly engineered away. The system works when we stop trying to break it.